Good morning. It's time for our daily dose of good news on December 1st, and we are in Psalm 90. And this is the only psalm that's attributed to Moses. Lord, you have been our dwelling place in all generations, before the mountains were brought forth, or ever you had formed the earth and the world. From everlasting to everlasting, you are God. You turn us back to dust and say, turn back, you mortals. For 1,000 years in your sight are like yesterday when it is past, or like a watch in the night. You sweep them away. They are like a dream. Like grass that is renewed in the morning it flourishes and is renewed. In the evening it fades and withers. For we are consumed by your anger. By your wrath we are overwhelmed. You have set our iniquities before you, our secret sins in the light of your countenance. For all our days pass away under your wrath. Our years come to an end like a sigh. The days of our life are 70 years, or perhaps 80 if we are strong. Even then their span is only toil and trouble. They are soon gone, and we fly away. Who considers the power of your anger? Your wrath is as great as the fear that is due you. So teach us to count our days, that we may gain a wise heart. Turn, O Lord, how long? Have compassion on your servants. Satisfy us in the morning with your steadfast love, so that we may rejoice and be glad all our days. Make us glad as many days as you have afflicted us, and as many years as we have seen evil. Let your work be manifest to your servants, and your glorious power to their children. Let the favor of the Lord our God be upon us, and prosper for us the work of our hands. O prosper the work of our hands. Here ends the reading. And I think at the beginning of this psalm, Moses, the psalmist, sounds discouraged and depressed. And often in biblical times, there was an idea of, okay, God might be angry at you, and there's like a limited time for that. There's a finite amount of time that God will be angry, and then it will shift to things being better and God forgiving you or redeeming you. And so the anger is in a limited time for when there are situations that are so difficult and so hard. I think often that's how they felt about it, was God must be angry at us, that this is so hard, this is so difficult. And perhaps God was. But I think one of the things that is also in this psalm is a sense of God's might and majesty and all power, all knowing, ruler of the universe. And so recognizing God's power and recognizing that God has the power to change this depressing experience that they're currently living in. And I think we can relate to that. And the rain helps us with that, right? This is a good visual of this, me being surrounded by a rainy, gloomy day that might feel depressing or discouraging or blah to us. But remembering that our God is the God who also created the sun and sunshine and beautiful days. And so not to forget who God is in the midst of the gloom and the heaviness and the things that travail us, that we struggle through. Not forget who God is, simply because our environment is such that it's discouraging in this moment. But to cry out to God, hey, I need your help here. How long are we going to be in this? Because I need it to change. Being honest with God about that. And also asking God, help us in the work of our hands. Help us to make this different. Help be with us in changing this for the better. And direct us in that, in wisdom. So going to God as the source of wisdom, of how to flip the environment, flip the depression, flip the heaviness that hangs over us into seeking God's will and going after that and being encouraged and strengthened in that, in the way. Show us your favor. Let our hands prosper in your work. That there's, while it starts as a very depressed sounding psalm, the end is kind of encouraging, as if there's a mindset shift of, God, I'm going to focus on you, and I'm going to ground in you, and help me in this, and prosper the work of my hands, and I know it's going to turn. And I think for all of us who live in these heavy days, who sometimes can get overwhelmed in that, to stand firm and trust that God's going to bring about good. As long as there's been evil, God will bring about good in just as much time, right? So if you've suffered for 7 years, you're going to have glory also for 7 years. Just to kind of keep in mind, there is a sense of balance or perspective of, we're not going to be stuck in these hard times forever. That there will be times of great joy and of looking forward with pleasure and appreciation and gratefulness and thankfulness, and to remember our God helps us get to that. So you can ask God for wisdom and how to help you get to that point today, and just to refocus on trusting God in the midst of it, no matter how gloomy it seems, and ask God for God to be present with you and bring you out of it and bring you into good. Enjoy the day, everybody. Bye-bye.